Good afternoon and welcome to this webinar, Production Optimization Through Digital Transformation, Leveraging the Altizon Autonomous IoT Platform. This webinar is brought to you by HMS Networks in partnership with Altizon. My name is Julia Sheridan and I will be your moderator for this Tech Talk this afternoon. So let's get started. Thank you for those who are joining the call. If you would like to rewatch this webinar or share it, it will be available on demand after the call. You will be receiving an email with that link that you can access whenever you like. So during this webinar, we will be discussing how HMS Networks and Altizon are helping companies succeed with digital transformation, how we are helping companies build successful solutions for collecting data and viewing that data in the manufacturing facilities. HMS simplifies machine connectivity and enables data collection. And lastly, how Altizon accelerates business impact with standard software analyzing tool that can be used on the data that is collected from that factory. Now, I would like to introduce our presenters for today. First, we have Tyson King from Altizon, who represents the North America sales team for Altizon. We also have Tom McKinney, who is the Director of Engineering Services in the Americas with HMS Networks. At this point, I will hand it over to Tom McKinney, who is going to run through the agenda and then introduce HMS Networks.
Thank you, Julia. So on today's agenda, we're going to run through a couple of overviews of both HMS and Altizon. We're going to jump into the value of digital transformation and introduce the attendees to HMS and Altizon's first line analysis offer. So this is a cost-effective way for small to medium manufacturers to begin to analyze the return on investment associated with a digital transformation effort. I think everyone on the call is going to find that very interesting. For those of you not familiar with HMS Networks, I'm going to provide a brief overview of our company and the products that we offer. So HMS Networks has been in business for over 30 years. We are a publicly traded company and we have over 600 employees. We are maniacally focused on the communications market and creating the best possible communication solutions for the industrial space. We focus on all the major verticals in the industrial market, and we service customers worldwide with offices in over 30 countries, customers in 156 countries. We've experienced tremendous growth over the last 10 years as more and more companies look to create connections between their machines and between those machines and higher level software applications. The way we service that market is threefold. So we offer products that are embedded into OEM devices. These are specifically designed to help OEMs implement different field bus protocols without investing a significant amount of R&D dollars in creating those protocols and maintaining them. So these solutions allow those OEMs to introduce products into the market that support all the major field buses across all of the different automation providers. We also package that same technology in our gateway products. These are protocol converters that allow end users to translate industrial protocols from one machine to another. So for example, if I've got a machine that's been developed around Allen Bradley's ecosystem and it uses Ethernet IP, I can use a protocol translator or an X gateway to convert from that Ethernet IP protocol to maybe a Siemens protocol like Profinet. And then the last category of products we offer are edge gateways. So these devices are designed to create and enable IoT connectivity. These solutions offer customers the ability to remotely access their machines as well as stream telemetry data off of those machines. And these are the products that we're going to focus on this afternoon. So offering an edge gateway solution goes well beyond the edge gateway itself. In fact, to create an easy-to-use solution, HMS has an entire cloud dedicated to managing the devices we sell to our end customers. That cloud allows our end customers to manage different user access rights. It allows us to offer things like two-factor authentication when customers are attempting to access a remote machine or device. It allows us to create the VPN connection between the end user and the asset in the field. The solution also offers a data buffer when we're streaming data off a device in the field and then passing that through the HMS Cloud to a higher level application. Today, HMS operates the world's largest industrial IoT network. We have almost 250,000 registered accounts. We've created over 17 million VPN connections. And as you can see in this map, our devices have literally made it to every part of the planet. Now, if we take a look at the flagship product, so let's take a look at our flagship edge gateway, which is the Flexi device. The Flexi device is an evolution of our Cozy product. So Cozy was our first edge gateway that focused predominantly on creating and enabling VPN connections to remote assets. Flexi offers the exact same feature set as Cozy, but it layers on top the ability to collect data from that asset and stream it to a higher level application. And this is really the feature that enables digital transformation. Let's take a look at a case study where Flexi was used to stream telemetry data off of machines in the field and create a visibility dashboard for the end customer. So in this case, CBI is a system integrator that specializes in landfill gas monitoring systems. In this case, the end customer that consumed the biofuel was having trouble determining how much fuel was available at any given time. Another challenge that they were dealing with is that there was no network connectivity between the different systems at this landfill. So the solution was to introduce the Flexi device at each one of the gas monitoring locations and then stream telemetry data back through Talk to M Pro over the cellular network to a website that displayed information with regards to the amount of biofuel currently stored in the system. The results were the end customer was able to more readily determine how much fuel was available in the system, and this allowed the end user to consume more biofuel. The results were actually very good in the sense that the overall biofuel production increased by over 20%, and if major outages were removed from or were considered in the analysis, the actual output was increased by 60%. This is a great example of using telemetry data to solve a customer problem and really create a solution that was more optimized. Now the challenge here is that CBI did do this system themselves. So they created their own website, they maintain that website, and that does introduce some significant support costs as well as some challenges in terms of where is the site hosted, who's maintaining that site, what happens if there's a problem with the site. So let's take a look at using a third party to solve that same problem. In this case, we're going to use the Altizon solution, which is a cloud-based solution for viewing, storing, and analyzing data captured from the factory floor. We're using Flexi to do the machine connectivity part, and we are streaming that data over OPC UA or MQTT to the Altizon platform. The solution has the ability to store and forward data. So if for some reason the backhaul network is down, Samples are stored on the device, and those samples are forwarded when the backhaul network is up. The solution also offers recovery from power outages. So all of the data is stored locally on the device in non-volatile memory. If there is a power outage, the device will transmit the data it has in its buffer when power is restored. Lastly, the solution offers the end customer the ability to store their data and use that data in the future for things like reports. Now, this entire system is maintained by Altizon, so it allows the end user to take advantage of the system, and the system integrator doesn't have to concern themselves with the maintenance and support associated with maintaining the cloud platform. Let's take a look at a use case where Altizon, in conjunction with Flexi, was able to solve a customer's challenge as recently as last month. So in this case, we have an end user that's running a manufacturing facility that is attempting to reduce the number of people they have on the manufacturing floor so that they could deal with some of the social distancing challenges associated with COVID-19. In this case, the end user needed the solution to be installed remotely. No access to the plant floor was given to either HMS or Altizon. The customer installed the Flexi solution themselves and were able to get Flexi to the point where it was streaming data to the Altizon platform without any support on site. Once the data was streaming to the Altizon platform, Altizon was able to create the dashboarding and reporting and process optimization analysis completely remotely from the facility. As a result, this customer was able to bring this system online during the month of April this year. This is an incredible example of how easy it is to work with the HMS and Altizon platforms. So with that, I'd like to hand the presentation over to Tyson King, who will give us a brief overview of Altizon.
Thanks, Tom. That last scenario is a perfect example of where we help customers embrace digital transformation with speed and simplicity. So let me talk a little bit about the Altizon side of the solution and what our customers can expect to see. So here at Altizon, we have a cloud-based software platform that ultimately empowers the customer with an application called Daytonis Mint, or Manufacturing Intelligence. So because it's cloud-based, it's unlimited in scope as far as number of users, number of machines, locations. You can be remote, you can be within, full access to the software and the tools needed to manage your day-to-day operations. And these are ready-to-go modules within the software, so no developers or development time is required. So again, going back to speed and simplicity, our whole approach to this is ready-to-go modules for you to be able to look at OE, CBM, quality, energy, and even traceability within your production environment. And what makes this software so powerful and so effective for our customers is that we've been able to fine-tune it over the course of years with experiences with over 100+ manufacturers across various verticals, whether it be CPG, automotive, industrial, chemical processes. These verticals have given us a wealth of knowledge and experience to build out these tools that no matter what your use case scenario is, you could see an average of 18% improvement to your OE, and then various other improvements to your processes as time goes on. And speaking of as time goes on, we designed our solution to fit into your long-term digital strategy. And to do so, we built our cloud-based software to serve as your manufacturing data lake. So we can pull in data from the HMS devices and all the different machines to provide the useful tools within the Mint application. But also, we can pull in data from ERP systems or SCADA systems or whatever other sources of data that would be useful to optimize your production. And as time goes on, whatever other systems or tools like advanced analytics might be useful, we can push and pull data into the manufacturing data lake that sits in the cloud. And again, be part of your long-term digital strategy. And now knowing that we can fit well into your long-term digital transformation strategy, let's take a look at some of the short-term or immediate capabilities within the platform where you can start seeing benefit within a matter of weeks or months. And let's start with productivity tools. So with the data collected from the HMS device, from the individual machines, you can see a digital visualization of your production facility regarding OE, its capacity utilization, availability, all the unplanned downtime. And with the visualization, now you can make more accurate assessments of what's happening, as well as more accurate decisions around how to improve the processes. Next up is our condition-based monitoring tool, or CBM module, where again, with the data collected real-time from the machines, you can start looking at proactive measures. And with alerts, as well as historical data, you can start looking at how your machines or processes are potentially deviating from the norm or from their optimal use case scenario, and make those proactive changes on the fly. Next is our work order tool, where in this world of customer satisfaction, no one likes surprises. And with our work order tool, you can closely monitor what was planned versus what was actual, and ensure that your customers' orders and customers' demands are fulfilled on time, and you can accordingly make adjustments with any type of delays on the production line. So help your planners and your customer service folks to live up to the promises made to your end customers. So in addition to the ready-to-go modules that provide you with tools to optimize your production, take advantage of the real-time data that's being collected into our platform from your machines to generate real-time alerts that can help you intervene or take action without any delays. So as an example, if there's a machine that is sitting idle for a set period of time, have the production manager alerted. Or if there's a shortage, a stoppage due to shortage of supply, have the warehouse alerted. So take advantage of the platform already consuming all this data real time to generate real-time alerts to various folks in your production environment to streamline everyday procedures. With our ready-to-go modules and alerts and reporting tools available on our software platform, I wanted to highlight a case study with one of our global customers who's in the beverage industry, who was seeing inconsistent production, and as a result was also experiencing disruptions to their order fulfillment. And I wanted to highlight the benefits that they saw and the results that they saw, because given the current global scenario that we're in, there are going to be a lot of unknowns and unpredictable times over the next potential months or year. And potentially there's a chance for you to utilize our software to make an impact. So what we did is we connected existing sensors, as well as retrofitted some sensors to do production count at the end of the bottling line. And by doing so, then we were able to digitize all of their logbooks and make for a completely paperless operation. And then with the digital data coming in, we were able to create real-time bottleneck analysis or models that would help them make changes on the fly. So truly optimize their productivity. And what ultimately resulted in a matter of months was an ROI that paid for itself within 8 months. But before that, they saw a 15% increase in their OE and a 10% in direct reduction of labor costs. So again, with this global scenario that we're in, there's some real benefits that don't cost a whole lot of time or money for you to start benefiting from. And one more customer that I'd like to highlight is a CPG customer of ours that, with a corporation, wanted to have a better assessment of how their individual facility, individual machines were being utilized. And so using our software, they were able to very quickly track the individual machine availability and start comparing and contrasting the performance across the different machines as well as different facilities. And as a result, they saw an 8% increase in their OE. And given the scale of the project, this 8% increase resulted in what they estimated at $40 million in savings over the course of 3 years. So I think the one area to highlight is not just the results, but also, again, the speed and the simplicity of deploying our solution. The customers can start seeing an impact within a matter of months and start seeing the visualization within weeks. And that just makes for a very successful engagement and usage within the facilities and at the operator level. So with that, I'd like to turn it back over to Tom to talk us through some other criteria for success.
Thanks, Tyson. And as you can see from the use cases that have been presented so far today, that customers are successful when they increase their visibility into what's happening on the manufacturing floor. And the key there is really the data, pulling data from the assets directly so that you've got unbiased information with regards to what's happening on a day-to-day basis. Let's take a look at some of the key areas that digital transformation can impact at a small to medium-sized manufacturer. So I'm going to focus on 3 key areas today. The first is, and these are challenges that the end user of any facility faces. The first is really maintaining complex equipment. The second challenge is developing incremental optimization plans. And when I say developing, defining what is the next optimization that we want to do at a specific facility. And then lastly, I'm going to comment on compliance with regulatory standards and how having real data historically logged can make a difference in the quality of those reports. So the first step in any digital transformation process is to start by getting the assets you own connected. Get to the point where we're streaming data off of those assets and logging that data in a historical log. And that's going to generate a couple of benefits right out of the gate. So if you choose to connect your machines using Flexi, you're going to immediately have the ability to offer remote access to those machines. Now that's going to help you when you start to talk about engaging with your system integrators for support. Remote access can allow a system integrator to access and update a machine remotely, which could be less costly than having the system integrator come out to your facility. But it could also help in operator-related issues. So if an operator doesn't understand how to use a machine, maybe a new machine has been introduced to the system, an SI with remote access to that machine will be able to guide that operator through the configuration process. And again, could help eliminate downtime because that access exists. The next element that's going to help is logging the information about the production line or the machine in question. This is going to give you a reference point for future optimizations, but it's also going to be able to, it's going to allow that system integrator to get some visibility into what was happening on that machine prior to maybe a fault or some sort of downtime event. And this, again, is going to help make the facility more productive because you're going to resolve these issues faster. And then the last item I'd like to touch on is maintenance. So a calendar-based maintenance system is very inefficient because it doesn't account for how often the machine is being used. So calendar-based maintenance is either under maintenance, you're running the machine much more often than you expected, or you're running the machine less often than you expected, and now you're performing maintenance too often. So by transitioning to a runtime-based maintenance flow, you're going to be able to use your maintenance people more effectively. And again, that machine is going to see less downtime because it's only going to be maintained when it needs to be maintained. And lastly, a more advanced feature would be to start to integrate prescriptive maintenance into a digital transformation platform like Altizon. So in that case, you could start to integrate the directions associated with specific maintenance tasks and then allow your staff to access those directions more quickly. So another challenge I mentioned that every manufacturer faces is how do I implement a continuous improvement process? And how do I determine which optimizations I should do next with regards to investing my time or other resources? And a data collection solution with historical information can help you create the metrics that can be used to determine how to invest in quality improvement. And a platform like the Altizon platform, which offers OEE calculations, uptime calculations, as well as quality calculations, can help to make it much more clear with regards to where resources will create the most impact. And the reason that these systems are successful is that the data that they're using, again, is that raw machine data. So we're not basing our decisions based on anecdotal evidence or people's opinions. We're basing the changes and the next step in the process on facts, and we're measuring the performance of those changes based on facts that are coming from those machines. So the last challenge I want to touch on today is regulatory compliance. So this challenge is really about proper record keeping. And by connecting all the assets together into a platform like Altizon that can create consistent reporting and log the data, you now have a process for capturing all the information associated with things like maintenance of machines, cleaning of those machines, traceability of goods that are used in the manufacturing process, like consumables, and tracking material that's actually produced from the manufacturing process. And you also have a place where you can store things like food safety plans and records so that it's easily accessible by the staff of the facility. Another element that can be implemented quite easily once you have a platform in place is a process tracking solution. So when you make a process change and you want to track that the staff and operators in the facility are actually tracking to that new changed process, you can use machine data to alert the staff when they're operating outside of the defined process. And this can help a group of individuals more quickly adjust to a new requirement and execute more efficiently. So we've looked at a number of common challenges that are faced in the manufacturing area that can be addressed leveraging digital transformation technology. So it's interesting to take a step back and take a look at the different verticals and try to get a feel for where those verticals are with regards to their digital transformation journey. And McKinney put together a great analysis here that highlighted the different industries that were embracing digital transformation, and then others that were slow to embrace digital transformation. And we can see that advanced manufacturing is really hitting up the charge, as well as oil and gas and utilities. Agriculture is a bit of a laggard, and that might be because the margins in agriculture are so low, or because maybe so much of agriculture is manual labor. But what we can see is that basic good manufacturing, which is where food and beverage, as well as some of the smaller discrete manufacturers would fall, is just beginning the digital transformation process. I think this is a good sign for anybody who's stepping into this type of a technology, because they're still leading the transformation. They're not behind at this point in the game, but now is the time to start investigating this technology, especially considering how easy it is to implement these types of technologies. And with that, I'm going to hand this presentation over to Tyson, who's going to introduce the audience to the first line analysis offer from HMS and Altizon.
Thanks, Tom. Given our experiences over the course of years in helping customers succeed with their digital transformation, we wanted to develop this first line analysis program to help more customers like yourself to take that first step towards digital transformation and make it easy and not need a whole consulting team to come in and make an assessment. So with that in mind, let's talk through the program. Okay, first line analysis. So given our experiences, we want to help you by starting off with a 2-hour, call it a consulting session with your team. This is no charge to you. This is 2 hours that over the phone or over a virtual meeting, we can help you scope out what would 5 to 10 machines need to provide connectivity into the cloud. And then ultimately, what type of dashboards would be needed, as well as walk you through what would a continuous improvement process through DMACC, so define, measure, analyze, improve, and continue, to take this data and make full use of the digital transformation. Some of the deliverables will also map out as far as remote access, what's needed, what type of production optimization dashboard would be best suited for your needs, and then along those lines, what type of data to help you with KPIs with OE, availability, uptime, quality, etc. And then ultimately, this has to result into some type of benefit. So what would the results be? And given the averages that we see with our customers with this type of approach, we've seen 15% improvement in baseline productivity, 3% improvement in quality, and 5% in energy costs. So ultimately, this has to be a positive ROI. So with a 2-hour session, we believe we can help you with that first step towards digital transformation and outline the steps needed. So during that 2-hour consult, we'll walk through essentially a production audit with you, where we'll assess what type of production environment do you have, what types of machines, the OEMs, is there a system integrator involved, PLCs. We'll go through a whole checklist of items to truly assess what is the scope of work to digitize your existing facility, or that specifically that line, and get the data into the cloud. And along those lines, once we understand what your situation is, what the equipment is, then we can start defining what is the strategy for connecting those machines and, again, getting the data to the cloud. So a lot of that legwork that you would normally have to bring in a consultant to go do, we'll do that during this 2 hours. And then with the details from that production audit, if you will, we'll come back with a proposal of what would the details be to, again, get the machines connected into an HMS device, the HMS device talking to our cloud, and then not only the cloud, but what are some of the instructions for your IT folks to help along the way. And then once the data is in the cloud, what type of functionality is going to make the most impact to your operation. And so we'll come back with project details to make this a successful first step for you. And along the way, we'll also do project management as far as it's typically a 4-week project plan with weekly milestones, and cost on average is about $10,000. But given the current situation of the world, if there are specific budgets that we needed to help, especially if you're in the medical industry trying to help the cause, that's something that we'd be happy to talk to you about. So along the lines of the getting connected, so most of the discussion will revolve around connecting an E1 to existing machines, but it doesn't necessarily have to just be machines. We could also look at other data sources, whether there's open protocols that we could pull data into the platform. Also, is there other data infrastructure like we talked about earlier in the session around enterprise systems that you might want to pull data in from? So that can also be part of this 2-hour consult, where what types of data, in addition to potentially just the machines, would we want to keep in mind, again, to set you down the path of a successful digital transformation journey. So after connectivity, part of the first line analysis is also this visibility tool as far as what data is most relevant or most critical to your production environment. So whether that's unplanned downtime and what are some of the downtime reasons, whether it's production count or planned versus actual, quality or energy usage. So depending on the discussion during the first line analysis, we'll come back with what are the deliverables around visibility that would make most impact to you. So staying anchored in results, this first line analysis really is intended to help you get connected, see digital dashboards, and then ultimately feel the impact of the digital transformation. So within 4 to 8 weeks, we want you to start seeing an impact. And that might be through visibility into your OE and some downtime. It might be getting alerts and being able to make decisions on the fly, or decisions that have a broader set of folks all tied into the loop at the same time. So at the end of this first line analysis, we want you to see an impact within 4 to 8 weeks. And to do so, we'll walk through a DMACC approach with you that will ensure success, as it has with so many of our customers. So a widely accepted approach where we'll help you define the pain points and the desired outcome early on. And then with the connected machines and the visual tools, we'll help you measure precisely what is happening within your facility. And then with a team of business analysts and data scientists, we can help you analyze that data so that then you can start making decisions around how to possibly improve or how to deploy different resources. And ultimately then control and sustain that implementation so that you see short-term benefit as well as a long-term continuous improvement. Clearly, we want to help, and we want to see you succeed just as our other customers have who've already gone down the digital transformation journey with us. So take advantage of this first line analysis program, and with no cost and only 2 hours of your time, we can help you take that first step in the digital transformation journey. So come to our website, submit the evaluation request form, and we'll coordinate, again, a 2-hour time with your team and come back with a proposal that has clear deliverables and measurable improvements in your KPIs, as well as an ROI analysis. And given the current economic environment, now is the time to take advantage of this program and let us help you optimize and look for ways to optimize your current production environment. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Julia for final Q&A. Really appreciate everyone's time. Thank you, and look forward to talking to you soon. Julia?
Thank you, Tom and Tyson, for presenting today. And with that, we would like to move on to our questions and answer portion of the webinar. If you have any questions for the presenters, please add them to the Q&A box, and we'll get to as many as we can in the allotted time. Any questions that we do not get to will be answered via email from the presenters. And our first question, this one will be for Tyson. Can we host Altizon on-premise instead of cloud?
Yeah, thanks, Julia. That's a great question. Absolutely. Although our platform is designed to be primarily cloud-based and agnostic as to which cloud you put it in, there are certain instances where customers require it to be on-prem, and absolutely we can support that.
And a follow-up question to that, is the Altinos license based on subscription?
It's primarily license-based, based on an annual license for the platform. And then instead of being a subscription per user, it's really based on the number of machines and the amount of data being pulled into the platform. So depending on how much data is being consumed on productivity, the work orders and traceability, et cetera, unlimited number of users, that doesn't determine the pricing. It's all about number of machines and amount of data. Another good question. Thank you.
Great. And a question for Tom. What kind of security does the Flexi provide?
Sure. So the Flexi device has a multi-layered security approach. We support, obviously, TSL or TLS 1.2 with regards to encryption, but the device does support verification of server-side certificates. We leverage client-side certificates. Our Talk to M Cloud supports two-factor authentication. So the system is designed to be very secure from the cloud all the way down to the device. Of course, the device is password protected. We have the ability to create backups of the device that can actually be stored in an encrypted way. So a number of different elements. And then lastly, we work with a third-party penetration company that has done complete analysis of the end-to-end system and has provided a certificate they call the STAR Award for compliance and passing that penetration test effort. Tyson, do you want to comment on security on the Altizon side?
Sure. So we equally employ, standard security protocols, and we've got the certifications required. We do the white hackers and the audits, and we pass with flying colors. So we've worked with major Fortune 100, Fortune 500 companies, and their IT security requirements are pretty stringent, as you can imagine. So we've built a whole platform designed to adhere to those stringent requirements.
And Tyson, another question. This user has seen software tools that come and go because they're difficult to use. What's your experience with users at the operator or shop floor level?
Yeah, that's very important, right? As a software company, we take into heart, how is this going to be used? The old Apple approach, I suppose, of what's the user friendliness. So we make it out of the box, very user friendly. So the operators have given us good feedback. It doesn't require a lot of development or any development at all for the average user. And so the user friendliness and then the engagement is important. And so equipping the users, like the operators or the shift managers, with the appropriate tools to make an impact to their job, the engagement is high. And that's ultimately what drives the ROI, is that user engagement, because it does make an impact at the user level, as opposed to just software that collects dust on a shelf.
Great. Yeah, thank you, Tyson. And a question for Tom. How many machines can be connected to a single Flexi?
Yeah, so it actually varies, but the device supports, depending on which cards you select and insert into the device. But from an Ethernet perspective, the device could support connectivity to multiple Profinet machines, multiple Ethernet IP machines. You can mix Profinet and Ethernet IP. You can still communicate Modbus TCP over the Ethernet port as well. And then really you can sample up to 2,500 tags using those networks with no additional add-in cards. Now, when you add in the serial card, you can start to connect up to machines over RS-232. That is a point-to-point, so there's just one machine that you can connect per RS-232 interface. But the device also supports RS-45. That's a daisy chain technology, so multiple systems on an RS-45 network can be connected into that serial port. The device supports Profibus, so you can add a card and connect to a Profibus-based PLC. And then lastly, you can wire in discrete analog and digital signals into the digital analog I/O card. So really a number of different interfaces can be used simultaneously. So, in my experience, 3-4 machines in an area can connect to a single Flexi. So an entire line into one Flexi.
And how are you deploying the solution today, given the limitations to on-site access due to coronavirus, Tom?
Yeah, so the beauty of the Flexi system is that it can be pre-configured. So working with Altizon, we've got a solution that we can package up and send to an end user. So even if there's just a single maintenance or automation person that has access to the manufacturing floor at this point in time because the facility is running at a bare minimum of staff, that individual can install the Flexi device and connect a few machines, and really with just a very limited amount of effort, get to the point where the system is physically connected. And then from there, we can actually remotely log into the device and set up the Flexi entirely from our offices here at HMS. And Altizon can do something very similar on their side. They've got the ability to set their entire system up remotely. And as I think there was an example in the presentation where we talked about this, it really allows, vendors that are limited in terms of staffing to get started, even in this challenging environment.
And for Tyson now, what is the next step if a user would like to take advantage of the first line analysis?
Yeah, that's a good question. Always the first step is the hardest. So we try to make this program real easy where if you can come to the website right there in the HMS landing page for the registration, submit an evaluation request. And what we'll do is we'll reach back out to you, try to schedule 2 hours with your team, and we'll take it from there. So come to the HMS website, submit the evaluation request. It's that simple. 2 hours of your time. What we'll do before that 2-hour consultation is we'll send you a list of some of the questions. So I think we talked about essentially the production audit, where we want to know what kind of machines you're interested in having connected. And so if we can send you a list of some of the questions before that 2-hour consult, we can make it a very efficient use of your time. So it's as easy as that. Again, no obligations. We want to make this real simple for you and effective. So just reach out and submit the evaluation request.
Great. And as Tyson said, we have all this available on the HMS Networks website. This webinar will be available on demand also on the website. So if you have any questions or you just can't find materials, feel free to contact us on hmsnetworks.com or on the Altizon website. Another question for Tom that came in: does the OPC UA connection impact the PLC performance? And if so, what kind of impact do you see?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question. Really, anytime we're using the communication port on a PLC, there is a potential to impact the performance of the PLC. But in practice, I've yet to see a situation where we could not read data out of the PLC at a reasonable rate without having any impact on the performance of the PLC. Now, in Flexi, you do have the ability to set the sample rate on a per tag basis, and this does allow you to really select the samples that you want to sample at the highest rate in an individual basis, and then maybe sample configuration tags or things like that at a much lower rate. So there's a number of different ways to ensure that you're not overloading the PLC. So in practice, never seen a problem, but it is a possibility. So we have to be aware that possibility exists when we're setting up the system.
Great. And it looks like we just have one more question left. If anyone who's listening would like to ask an additional question, we still have a few minutes. Feel free to add them into the Q&A. So this last one right now is for Tyson. What is the success rate of your customers who move forward?
Ooh, that's a good question, because in the industry we hear horrifying statistics around 70% of some of these projects fail and customers are a bit gun shy. And it's horrifying because we actually, thanks to the partnership with HMS, we see 90% success rate. And it really comes down to two reasons that we boiled it down to. Is we want to make the implementation easy. So with the HMS Flexi combined with our ready-to-go software, the implementation is fast, it's simple, it's easy. And so in a matter of weeks, you can start to see initial results and impact really within a couple months. So we've made the process for implementation really simple. I think a lot of other solutions or projects, if you will, fail just because they take so long that you have this, call it organization fatigue, that after months of trying to implement a solution, they get tired and too many other priorities on their plate, so they move on. So we've tried to make this real simple to get started and to implement. The second piece of it is, and we talked a little bit about this during the presentation, is, okay, once the data is coming in, what do you do with that? And to follow that define, measure, analyze, improve, and then control, that whole DMACC process, it kind of goes back to the user and the operator benefit and the engagement. Is if we can truly work with you to understand how this data is ultimately going to help you and your individual employees, then you see a measurable impact in a long-term engagement that makes it a successful program. So combination of the implementation out of the gate and then the long-term sustainability or engagement with the employees. Again, 90% or more of our customers deem it a success and move past this initial first line phase or pilot phase and move on to a full-blown scale up. So this first line analysis is a good program based on years of success and dialing it in. So great question. 90% is, we're proud to say 90% of our customers are successful.
Great, that's fantastic. So with that, that's our last question. I would like to thank you all for attending our webinar today, Production Optimization Through Digital Transformation. If you would like to register for other tech talks, be sure to visit our News and Insights page on HMS-Networks.com to see all upcoming webinars, ebooks, white papers, and articles. I'd like to thank our presenters again, Tyson King and Tom McKinney, for joining us today. And all of you, have a great rest of your day.